The Formula Drift Championship has made Wall Speedway home for 14 years. And as each of those years has passed, the drivers have been getting better, the car builds more prolific, and the fans even more hardcore. Now that the championship hits the midway mark, James Deane is in the lead. But the gap is narrowing as drivers have made the necessary adjustments in order to try and contain the enigmatic Irishman. Let's see who arises from the battle in the East, only on Formula Drift Insider. Before the action begins in New Jersey, we look back at Braselton, Georgia, aka Road Atlanta, where one James Deane gets back on the podium after a successful debut in Long Beach. Some of the most hardcore fans in the world saw the Irishman take it to the top.
Yeah, so Atlanta was good. It was amazing. In top 16, I was battling my Falcon Tire teammate Matt Field. I pushed hard. He was slightly faster pulling up the hill, then I caught him under braking going into the horseshoe, and just before coming out of the horseshoe he over-rotated. I made slight contact with him, kind of transitioned away from him into the grass, but the judges deemed him at fault for contact, so I had an advantage there. In top 8, once again I had Chris Forsberg. I knew I had to really turn it up against Chris. I took a big risk while I was chasing him into the first corner. Entered right on his door. I thought I was going to make contact, but we just had enough room there. I think it was just that injury did it for me. He wasn't quite as close when I was leading.
Some good highlights in the last round in Road Atlanta. We had a tough weekend. We besides just car setup, we had a mechanical failure with the turbo. We had engine go. And so we kept the guys busy. The team was working a lot, and they made it happen. They always do. And when push comes to shove, they're always have my back and making sure we make it to the start line to do battle. So it was good. And then in a lot of the battles, there was some hard-fought stuff, man. Top 32 all the way down. There was some good drivers that we were running against, and just some close competition. Daijiro in top 32. We went one more time. Top 16 was Chelsea DeNovo. We went one more time, and then top 8 was Dean Kearney, and he beat us in the first round, in the first 2 laps. But it's just it's the way it goes sometimes. We put up a good fight. We're running really strong, and felt like we had a good shot at the podium. But sometimes it doesn't work out that way.
I think that what went wrong for us in Atlanta was that we got a little bit greedy. We wanted to be the fastest car, the fastest team out there. We wanted to really show what we could do, but we got sidetracked. We went down this avenue of chasing speed, and we forgot that this is all about drifting. So it was a big reality check, not only for me, but for us as a team. And I think in the long haul, it's something we'll learn from.
Last event went well. I really thought we were going to win that weekend, but unfortunately, we just came up a bit short on setup, misjudged a few things, and got knocked out in the top 8, which was a tough pill to swallow after a first place qualifier and a perfect event the year before. But every year it changes. So all in all, though, a good result at Road Atlanta. Not exactly what we wanted, but we got 4 more rounds.
I always really like going to Road Atlanta. The track is a lot of fun. The fans are insane. Had some really good runs in practice, qualifying, made it into top 16 and then ran against Deane. And he just had a little more speed than I did and was able to pull a gap on me. I got lost in his smoke when I was following, and he moved on, and he ended up getting second place overall in the event.
And then to beat Bluss in top 4 and go back in the hot pit, and the guys are changing tyres, and I'm like, hey, what battle are we on? They said, you're here looking in the final now with James. I was like, oh, like I didn't really even realize, so that was definitely a pretty cool feeling.
Second victory, first year back in Formula Drift in 7 years, it's hard to imagine. I've already really exceeded my expectations of my first year here. It's amazing for me and the team, and my family and everyone who's helped me since day one, and I'm just having fun with it, you know, where I'm not, for me this year isn't about, oh, I need to win the championship, or, you know, it's not about that for me. It's honestly just enjoying the experience. I feel like I achieved more than what I planned at the start, and anything from here on is definitely a bonus, so I'm really enjoying this experience.
Formula Drift Insider on CBS Sports Network is sponsored by Black Magic. Own your shine. By Blackview Dash Cameras. And by Hankook Tire, driving emotion.
The stage is set. Great weather, 3 previous rounds, and only 2 winners, meaning 1 clear-cut leader, James Dean, as we begin here at Round 4 in New Jersey.
Yeah, so coming from Atlanta to New Jersey, 2 totally different tracks. Obviously you have the big steep bank here in New Jersey. I was really surprised when I tried walking down a bank, and even when you try to walk up, it's like climbing really steep stairs. So it's an experience, and to drive it is even a bigger experience. It's actually not as bad as I thought. I think you have to, sometimes these things can be in your head more than what they are actually to do.
Obviously I want to be in first place. James Dean has been holding that down pretty well. And this track is going to be some great tandem battles. The competition is going to be as hard as any other track. And it's going to be hard to separate yourself from other drivers just because it's a pretty easy track to nail all the marks. It's more about tandem and being able to just mimic the guy in front of you and do it better than him, because there's going to be very small areas that are going to separate you from him as far as judging is concerned. So just got to be mistake-free, apply the pressure, match angle, and match what the other driver's doing.
We're still sitting 3rd in the championship, and it's interesting now. There's a Euro squad doing well this year, sitting 1, 2, and 3, and a lot of the top dogs are not in contention as of right now. So an interesting year for sure. It proves that drifting is a never-ending challenge. There's always new stuff to be learned, but overall I'm really positive and excited for the rest of the season.
You know, sitting top 5 in championship right now feels great. You know, we're getting to that, you know, we're at that halfway point. So everything matters, you know, not that it didn't matter previously, but now it's starting to narrow it down, and the top guys are really showing who they are and who needs to be beat out here. I'm happy to be in the chase at this point. And, you know, the thing with this sport that we all know, though, is anything can happen, and it's not over till Irwindale. So we're just going to keep plugging away, keep realigning as a team, and doing everything that we can to just do what we know we can, and that's win out here.
Sometimes you can get away with not having a good event and get lucky if some of the other guys that were in the top had bad events also. But, you know, when it comes down to it, everybody out here is a solid driver, and you just have to, you know, push as hard as you possibly can every single run in tandem and hope that you can not make any mistakes and have a, you know, solid weekend where you're on the podium at the end.
The recipe for success here at New Jersey is to stay calm no matter what is thrown at you. If you get through the battles, the sun starts setting, it's hard to see, you have the smoke filling up the bowl, you have the crazy vibe from all the fans here. This is a big show and one that you really want to win.
I'm just going to try my best, do what I always do, and see what happens. Hopefully we have a lot of good battles and put on a good show for the fans. I think that's what's most important. So yeah, let's see how it goes.
With qualifying completed, it's now game day. Judges elaborate on the criteria as practice is underway. Drivers push hard, and some more than others.
Last run of practice, going through outer zone 2, and got slammed by Juha Rintanen coming out of outer zone 2. He hit me in the left, spun me around, and then hit me right in the front and did some serious damage to the car. So the guys are working their butts off to get me out there for top 32 with a 3rd battle. So hopefully Formula D gives us a concession.
We had a pretty gnarly hit, probably the hardest hit I've ever had drifting. Definitely felt more like a BMX bike crash than anything. We were coming out of the outer zone and going into inner clip 1, and we ended up having an over rotation but save it, and right when we were saving it, Castro came straight in and smashed into the A-pillar of the car. It was super close, super tight, and he's just, you know, a little bit too much. It's definitely my fault for giving a little bit of too much of a rotation there. We've got plenty of time to fix it before top 16, and the guys will have it ready to go.
The head-to-head top 32 battles begin. Dan Burkett and his great-looking Toyota Supra, not enough to take down Daijiro Yoshihara. Essa and Ken Gushi, Essa advances on.
Yeah, went out against Vaughn in 32. Not exactly the most ideal thing when you're sitting second in the championship, so we're a bit disappointed, but thought it was a bit of a dive off of Vaughn. I gave him a bit of a touch coming into the second outer zone. I feel he spun the car on necessarily, but this is the way it is, and it's a judge sport, and these are the things we have to live with, so hopefully we can come back and finish strong in Canada.
In the battle of Hamilton versus Pat Gooden, Little Tex Nate Hamilton gets the win. Alex Hilbrunt versus Cameron Moore, the Inca Madness Racing BMW gets the win and moves on to the top 16. Between the two Falcon drivers of Odi Bakshis and Poland's own Peter Vincic, Odi Bakshis advances on.
Just finished up top 32. I went up against Frederick Osbo, and when you got a battle like that, I mean, one champion's got to go home. So as we went into the first run, I actually got right up onto his door around the bank, was able to push him through the bank and through inner clipping point 1, and that was great. That's exactly where we want to be. But when we flicked into outer zone 2 down into that first lower bank, we actually came in a little too hot. We bumped into his car, which caused me to lose a little bit of ground. I dropped back about 2 car lengths, and we're just trying to close up that ground through the last 2 turns of the course. So our day here is done.
The remaining battles of the top 32 has Finnish driver Juha Rintanen taking out Dominican Republic driver Jonathan Castro. Matt Field versus Jeff Jones. Matt Field unfortunately gets knocked out, but Jeff Jones advances on. The lone rotary vehicle of Kyle Mohan gets defeated by Pacific Northwest Zone Matt Kaufman. Formula Drift veteran Robbie Nishida takes on Alec Honadale. With Alec Honadale unfortunately suffering a mechanical failure, he's knocked out. And finally, our top 5 qualifiers, Chelsea Denofa, Ryan Turk, Justin Pollock, Christoph Splush, and James Dean are awarded a Fast Pass, and we'll see them in the top 16.
Formula Drift Insider on CBS Sports Network is sponsored by Nexen Tire, driving tomorrow. By Gum Out. By Air Force, aim high. And by Universal Technical Institute, chosen by industry, ready to work.
Round 4 continues as the top 32 has now become the top 16. The driver introductions, the Umbrella Girls, the fans eagerly awaiting, finding out who advances on into the Grade 8.
Well, you know, Chelsea qualified #1, so I know it's going to be a really hard one. When I follow him, I follow pretty close. I made a little mistake here and there, but my proximity was pretty good.
On the second lap, I went out, entered right on his door, stayed on his door all the way around, transitioned, and when I transitioned, I just overcooked it, spun out, and lost the run basically by getting a 0 and the incomplete run.
So on my lead run, left the line hard, threw it in the bank 3rd gear, stayed pinned, tried to have good angle through the whole thing. I think I had a really, really good run. I think he had some mistakes in the back, and so I had the advantage going into the second run.
I was just about to flick it on his door, and then we just had everything shut down. I noticed some low voltage on the dash, so I don't know what happened. The guys are checking the data right now to find out what it is, so it never happens again. Yeah, truly a bummer, but you know, this is drifting, and this is things that happen.
My lead run did accelerate as usually, so maybe even faster. So tapped the ball in the first part of the bank, so afterwards just a little bit went down, the 80s near the wall, so I got the by run, and so I'm dancing top 8.
While I was chasing, I pushed hard, initiated close behind him, was nice and close on the bank, and when Alex was transitioning in the inside clip, he over-rotated and he was almost spinning, but he went off the line, and then I passed him. He came back onside me again, and we finished off the run after switching positions. So unfortunately for Alex, that mistake cost him the battle, and we're moving on to Grade 8, so super happy right now.
After an interesting turn of events, their first battle is protested, and Ryan Turk and Odi Bakshis do battle again.
You know, we ran, I thought it was a clean battle. I did get hit when I was leading, and Turk protested the run. You know, it's totally fine. He felt like my car was going slower than normal in that section. we re-ran, which I'm really glad. Is, you know, if he felt it was fair, I'm cool with that. And you know, we ended up just handling on that run, and we did fine. Now we know we got to just go faster, and that's helping me throughout the competition.
Went against Juha Rintanen in top 16, and he's one of the great drivers out of Finland. And I knew he was fast out here. He's on Nexen tires as well. So I lined up for my first run, which is a lead run because we qualified better. I tried to hang it all out there, rub the wall, deep into turn 2, fixing my error from top 32. Felt good. We had an advantage after the first run. Now for the chase run, Juha initiated nice and high but fell down on the bank, and coming into the infield he also cut across the track a little bit into turn 2. That's all she wrote for Juha. We're moving on to top 8.
That looked amazing.
There was a problem with the light. Honestly, the sun's coming right down that direction. That was kind of hard to see. And then I think the other one, we may have put a tire down on the line. There was a recall on that one. So we just had to go for it, and our team evaluated how they were running and said, you know, what changes to make. Those are secrets of ours, but you know, we made them and it worked out. This is my first time in the grade 8, so I'm freaking stoked. This is awesome.
We both had some mistakes, but Robbie, I think, you know, it's such a new car for him, so I think it's really hard for him to be at his 100%. So he tapped the wall coming off the bank, like right at the very, very end of it substantially, and like I thought he was going to straighten, and then like I thought he was going to call it almost. But no, he ended up just finishing the run. Happy to take the win, and either going to go against Justin Pollock or Jeff Jones, so two good old friends of mine, so should be fun.
The driver's pool thins out as the plot thickens. The grade 8, more when we return to Formula Drift Insider.
Formula Drift Insider on CBS Sports Network is sponsored by Black Magic. Own your shine. By NOS with Complex 6 for high performance energy. By Nitto Tire, fueled by enthusiasts. And by Blackview Dash Cameras.
With smoke still lingering, the fans grabbing their seats, two former champions from 2011 and 2013 are on the start line, ready to do battle.
I love Run and Die. You know, he's one of the dudes that just goes all out. Just a lot of fun driving with him. I led first, just really went for it. Threw it up high on the bank and got on the throttle. Good angle all the way through. Came off the bank, hit that inside clip, powered through the rest of the section. It just, car's hooked up. It feels really good.
I think my lead run was good, but it wasn't just enough to flip what I had in the first run. So I don't know what was going on, but it is what it is. We're gonna figure it out, and we're gonna make the car solid for next round.
My lead run, so I know I had to put the best possible lead run because James Dean, yeah, he was past like 4 years. He's dominating in Europe. He's a championship leader, just coming over like after 7 years, and just it's incredible. So I know I have to do my best. Probably I put my best run of the weekend, so but I try to stay on as close as possible on his door.
When it was my turn to lead, just coming up the straight to the first corner, first gear, second gear, when I changed the third gear, it didn't engage it properly, so the car stalled. I pulled it again, then it engaged it. From then on, it was a great lead run, very happy with it, but you know, we're in top 8 and could be a lot worse, so I'm after having a good weekend, and you know, the mistake is my own at the end of the day.
Grade 8 against Odi Bakchis. Went to one more time, and then Odi pulled out one of the best chase runs I've ever felt behind me. He chased me super close, and in my lead, I blew the engine. So it came halfway through the track, it started spitting and bobbling, and that was it. We don't know exactly what happened, but it was all she wrote, and we're out in top 8.
I'm sure everyone could hear this thing's not running very well, so I am working to death inside this car. My shifter's literally coming off because I have to shift up, down throughout turns, which is very unorthodox in any race car. And I'm just trying to make it work. I just can't believe it, man. I am having to pedal hard and trying to have a good time, and we're gonna blow this thing to pieces and having a damn good time, that's for sure.
A picturesque backdrop for the final battle of the Grade 8. Matt Kaufman moves on as Jeff Jones suffers mechanical failure. And now, our first battle of the Final 4.
So first time tonight that I've followed first, so we want to know, you know, basically just go hard because you never know what's going to happen. So threw it in hard on the bank and stayed with him right on his door. came down, he pulled a little bit of a gap, got back on him, had a couple little bobbles, I was so gripped up, but then exiting that into the last corner, got right on his door, even gave him a little nudge. Then we switched, I led, had a really good lead run, coming around the last corner again. He gave me a push all the way around the last corner, and it was awesome. Yeah, it felt great.
Sponsors, teams, and drivers all work to hold the carbon fiber trophy. Gremlins wreaked havoc in Odie Bakshi's pit and now find their way under Matt Kaufman's hood. Kaufman unable to advance on, Odie Bakshi finds himself in the finals going against Essa with a whole lot of momentum.
The finals were getting way intense. My motor was suffering. I felt the car being a little down on power, even more so than the previous runs. So I did everything I could. I had to shift an extra few times to keep it in the power band. I squeezed everything I could out of my car, and it made it just in time. The motor literally blew crossing the finish line, and we got the win. Amazing time.
Sucks the tire didn't stay on the wheel, but you know it happens. We're pushing the cars really hard. Coming off the bank here is really brutal on wheels and tires and suspension, but still got second place, so we're pumped.
Well, this is definitely the most insane New Jersey event we've ever had. I mean, multiple one more times. Parts falling off vehicles, 3.5-hour top 16. Odie Bakshi's having to battle back from a protest that turned from a win into a one more time. And for his motor to break on the last run as he crosses the finish line while Michael Essa beats a tire. I mean, couldn't sit down and script that, and it just makes me feel super lucky to be part of this amazing weekend, which it totally was.
A changing of the guards as far as the podium goes. Our next stop finds us in Montreal, Canada for the Great White North. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you in Canada. In association with Formula Drift, this has been a presentation of CBS Sports Network, the 24-hour home of CBS Sports.